Hi everybody, this is Chaj reviewing the film Don't Breathe today. Don't Breathe is written by Federico Alvarez and Rodo Sayagues. I hope I said that right. It's also directed by Federico Alvarez, and it is his second feature-length film after his first being the Evil Dead remake in 2013. Just to give you a little background on Federico Alvarez, he is a Uruguayan filmmaker who first got noticed after releasing his short film Something Something Something. He made a deal with Ghost House Pictures to direct a $30 to $40 million movie that was supposed to be some kind of sci-fi horror film. It eventually ended up being the Evil Dead remake. How that happened, I really don't know. Hollywood. From what I read, the Evil Dead remake was met with a lot of mixed reviews. A lot of people said it relied too much on gore and violence, all the typical horror movie remake bullshit. Even though it was met with fairly mixed reviews, it was a moderate success, so Ghost House Pictures and Federico teamed up for this movie. Now, I avoided the Evil Dead remake entirely because I didn't want to just watch meaningless gore for 1.5 hours or however long it is. And I had the same attitude towards Don't Breathe because I figured they were going to be making more of the same movie. But I'm really glad I didn't. Don't Breathe follows 3 young dumbass characters who rob homes for a living. They get a tip about this old army vet who's disabled and has a very large inheritance inside of his house. So they figure, f it, we'll just rob him and we won't have to do it again. And we can move away from Detroit. But of course, it's not that simple, and the old army veteran played by Stephen Lang, who's great in this movie, is insane. He's f***ed up. This movie's more of a horror/thriller film, like something you would see Alfred Hitchcock do only today, with a lot of plot twists and suspense. It was really nice to see how they utilized jump scares. They actually did it the right way, where you're scared by something you're supposed to be scared by, not bullshit. I was gripped by this movie for almost the entirety of its runtime. I think a lot of that can be credited to how good this movie is at getting the most out of its premise. Even though the film is for the most part contained to one location, it still manages to put these characters in different scenarios and situations more intense than the last, constantly. Because it's so simple, it doesn't need a lot of exposition or explanation. There's a good portion of this movie where there's not a whole lot of dialogue. I mean, you can't fucking talk if you can't fucking breathe. Stephen Lang's character, the old man, really doesn't have any lines at all in this movie, and yet he's still really terrifying. The movie lets the action of the characters and the setting do most of the talking for the film, which is how it should be. And all the action in this movie is so well filmed. The lighting looks great in this film, emphasizing a strong contrast between night colors blue and orange. The film often uses these colors to separate different characters within the same frame. You'll have one character illuminated by blue light and the other by orange light. It creates a very nice visual and thematic contrast. I feel like whatever lingering doubt still remains over Federico's ability to direct horror based on Evil Dead is pretty much crushed in this movie. Every scene is crafted so expertly. Whether it be scenes in the dark or in tight areas, the camera follows all this action without hardly ever missing a beat. It's also edited in such a way that emphasizes the peak of each action, which gives us the full impact of each scene. There's this really nice long take when the characters first enter the old man's house. The camera goes upstairs with the characters going through walls, going through floors. You could tell that they broke the shots up by using masking and motion blur. What I really liked about this long take is that it introduced the house nicely and it kind of set up the tone for what's about to happen within this house, also creating a sense of anticipation and dread. There's a tendency for directors to use long takes way too much, which makes them almost seem cheap after a while, not mentioning any names. But this long take establishes the setting of the house so well, and it ends right where it should be, setting up for the next scene. The fact that they made a film of this quality for just $9.9 million, it really says a lot about the director and his vision for this film. What I think I can appreciate the most about this film is that it never feels out of character. Like I said earlier, horror movies do have a tendency to be very overly violent and gory for no reason. This movie is brutal and gross, but none of that ever feels forced into the movie. The only real issue I have with this movie is characters will make decisions that I'll roll my eyes at because they are not logical decisions. I can ultimately forgive this problem because it's done for the sole purpose of keeping the movie going and introducing more conflict and adding more tension. There's also this really funny scene where there's this close-up of something that I can't say, and the way it's introduced and the way it was done just was a little cheesy. It was hilarious. Overall, I couldn't really ask for more from this film. It's a simple yet effective film that's well written and well executed. I'm really interested in seeing what Federico Alvarez does with his next film. I'm gonna give Don't Breathe 4 out of 5 stars. It's amazing. I love twisted movies. Maybe that's why I love this movie so much. Thank you, David Fincher. Guys, thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate you taking the time to get some thoughts and opinions on this movie that you might go out to see with your girlfriend, your moms, your brothers, your families, your bros, whoever. Thanks again, guys. This is Chaj signing off. Until next time.